Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sonictalk, episode 710, recording today, Wednesday, 3rd of April, 2022. This is the podcast that's really geared around sort of music technology, all things to do with creation, production, recording, mixing, playing, anything that you can think of surrounding the technology of music. A very broad church of subjects, fortunately for us, because some weeks there's news, some weeks there aren't. So anyway, I want to say thank you very much to our friends over at iZotope for sponsoring the show. You'll be seeing a little bit from them regarding their subscriptions and the fancy page, and also the fact that we've got, yes, there is, in fact, your image here. Okay, I didn't check that. Save 10% on iZotope products using the code Sonic10 by going to iZotope.com/Sonictalk. Nice to see that. And also want to say thank you very much to our friends in the YouTube chat, the IRC, and the Discord. Very nice to see you. And if you want to support us on Patreon, feel free. We're still posting stuff there. In fact, I posted the Goldfrapp rig tour with Hazel Mills a couple of days early before it was ready to go. There's loads of stuff up there. A very warm and welcoming bunch we have there. Very reasonably priced if you want to join us and have access to like samples, sample sets, free exclusive content, ad-free content, including the pre-show and everything that we do here. Please do join us. It would be a pleasure to have you. And of course, we are down to our guests. So let's start over here with Mr. Richard Hilton, who's there in sunny Connecticut, where he is brandishing a Sonicstate Folsom t-shirt, which I'm very pleased to see there, and a new system by the looks of things. That looks like that's not a CAD, is it? How's it going?
No. It's a PreSonus Revelator condenser microphone.
Oh, interesting. And that's a USB jobby, is it?
USB 3, and runs with their universal control software, which allows various loop backing, if there is such a word, into it, and supports other kinds of input. It's a beautiful thing. Very pleased with it.
It's interesting. I've been thinking about USB mics just purely because it's a very compact thing. There's some really good ones. Actually, I was looking, the Antelope Audio ones look really interesting because they've got like 3-channel audio interfaces and some DSP on board as well. So there's kind of a growing market, isn't it? The kind of concept.
True, yeah.
Oh, that's got DSP too, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it runs the FAT channel from their consoles, I guess, which includes a bunch of EQ and compressor emulations, and a gate and some effects that don't really sound all that great, and I'm not interested in anyway. And it's good.
But it's really useful to have like a single kind of channel, a digital console channel on an input, just in something you can throw in your bag and connect. Is it USB-C? I can't remember if it was or not.
Yes, USB-C. And,
neat.
I'm very pleased with it.
Nice. Yeah, sounds good. Anyway, Rich, lovely to have you. You're having a brief break from your chic disco touring, which has been going fantastically. I've been seeing on UK TV, there's been quite a lot of pushing the concert for Ukraine, which you guys headlined in, was it Birmingham? I think it was Birmingham, wasn't it? Yeah, a few weeks back. Yeah, nice. Still getting mileage out of that license, they are, which is good.
Oh, good, because it should be generating some more contributions, hopefully.
Yeah, I do hope so, and a very worthy cause it is too. And if we've got any, I know there are some listeners from Ukraine. All the best to you out there. I hope everything is going to be okay.
Absolutely.
And our thoughts are with you. I mean, I wish we could do more, but we're not the ones in charge, and we just have to ride it out and give our support where we can. But thank you for joining us, Rich. Always a pleasure. And also we have Mr. Gaz Williams, who's there in his studio in Bristol. Have you got even more depth of field going on there? What's going on? Are you getting even more prime lenses, or is it just the light? You mean tinkering?
Yeah, just tweaking the light a little bit. Yeah, but it's good, isn't it? Those lenses make a hell of a difference. Can I just say about something that it came through the post today, this distortion pedal called Double Trouble, and it's really interesting. So I think I'm going to do it on my show tonight, but it's just worth mentioning because it looks like a guitar distortion pedal and can completely function like that, but it was actually designed for putting 808s or 303s through it. So it's like a 2-channel distortion.
Interesting.
And it's got 24 volts, so it's got loads of headroom, so you can put line level signals into it. But that's what its design was. But then they tried it with guitars, and it sounds amazing. And I tried it with bass, and I was like, how brilliant is this? So I'm going to plug an 808 or an RD8 into it tonight, along with some other things, and see what you can do with it. But it's quite interesting because it's from that synthy drum machine, ravey acid sort of angle into a pedal. Yeah, so that I think is quite interesting, because normally you put like guitar pedals through it and they just can't deal with the line level, can they?
No, well, I agree. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, so it's something that's going to work with your modular, obviously, which is always close to your heart. How's the rehearsals going for your Steve Davis gig, or are you just going to go with the flow?
No, absolutely not. I'm rehearsing quite a lot. I mean, it's always going to be an improvised thing, but I'm just trying to get better at things, and but really looking forward to it. We're gonna do quite a few sessions. Well, I think we're gonna maybe have 3 times we're gonna get together before the gig. So over those times, we're gonna record everything that we do. Every jam, every moment, we will just record it. And I think just trying to really get that improvised language, just really work on that improvised language and that back and forwardness. And so just trying to learn how to control levels and really be more minimal, if anything, but with a lot of control over how it interacts with the other person.
So essentially what you're saying is you're trying to basically get that kind of unspoken language that bands who play together for years and years in 3 or 4 rehearsals. But I know you get on, but I know you meet quite rare. I mean, I'm being a bit facetious there, because I know you've got that sort of thing going.
First time we played music together, it was just instant connection. It just worked really great. We got a great rapport. It just works. I'm really excited about it. Yeah. So, but I've been chronicling my voyage into sort of modular through my YouTube channel, and now it's actually taken me into an unexpected place that's really exciting. So and we're going to do more gigs. So we've got the one in July, but we're going to do more. So it's a definite beginning of an interesting journey, which I just it might just.
And of course, you'll have to release. If you record everything, then you can release too. So that'll be perfect.
Well, that's already in. That we're already kind of working on some ideas for things. But there's a lot of music already. We've got about 4 hours worth, so there's lots to kind of pick through. But yeah, really exciting. And I think the exciting part is that human to human interaction, and that is at the heart of it. It's a expressive communication, and
nice. I am very pleased to hear that. Anyway, that's good. Actually, I was going to mention, just for talking live, if anyone didn't get the chance to see that, I posted the rig tour with Hazel Mills at Golf Wrap. A lot of people sort of a bit upset that it wasn't full of loads of vintage analog synths, but that would be an absolute nightmare. It's really interesting. When I was talking to the guys and gals, mostly Hazel actually, about her rig, and then I spoke to Alf the tech, Alf Cole. He was sort of saying that, yes, we'd like to be able to move everything maybe to Ableton Live rather than have playback, because then they could, go around the chorus again or whatever. But just adding a laptop to the system, for the drummer to play and trigger, because you'd need 2, because you've got an A and a B system. Then you need all the other stuff that goes with it. It's like $7 or $8 added on to the kind of expense of putting that into a live context. It's really interesting when you think you're having to budget for all of these things in what is already because if they've got a string quartet, they've got 4 or 5 musicians, they've got the high, they've got the PA, they've got the front of house. All of this stuff starts to mount up, and it's a touring band is like a kind of business, and you have to justify every investment. I mean, I think it works incredibly well as it is, but if you haven't checked it out, do check out the Hazel Mills tour of the Golf Wrap rig. It's interesting, I think, anyway. Right, okay, we have indeed, let me see what we've got first. What's first on the agenda? Yes, have I got a video for this? I think I have. Yeah, why the hell not play it? Let's play it. Yeah, UA goes native. Yeah, it's a very sort of abstract video. Essentially, what they're trying to convey through the means of music and dance is the brand new Spark, and it's a subscription service. Starts at $19.99 and bucks a month, which is a big ask. But what they've done is they've ported, I think it's 19 or so plugins across from the UAD platform into the world of native, and they will also work in Lunar format. But these are true native ones. Mac only at the moment, but I think that's going to be coming soon, as well as M1 native, which isn't such a big deal these days because M1 native, even on Rosetta, is pretty powerful. But there's Lunar, Opal, a new synth, and there's the Waterfall B3 organ, which you get exclusively as well. So it's a kind of experiment. There's been some interest. I wonder what people's thoughts about this, because I mean, obviously they've been known for DSP platform since the very beginning. This platform, which has become ubiquitous, many producers use it, and it's the great A to Ds and D to As plus the zero latency, which is a very key thing. Rich, I don't know, do you use UAD in your workflow? I seem to remember you've mentioned it before. What are your thoughts about this? It's an interesting shift. I mean, it's a sort of toe dip rather than a complete change of direction, perhaps.
Well, one wonders if the hardware wasn't selling anymore. I don't know, or as well. Or maybe because I don't understand why you end up here unless you're. I don't see a distinct difference. Actually, I didn't see a distinct difference between using the hardware and using these in software when I downloaded them until I realized that out of what is probably, 50 or 70 of their products that I have that I can run on my UAD card, 5 of them currently work as native plugins. So to say that this was a bit of a toe in the water for them, I don't think is an exaggeration. I wish, first of all, I have friends who work there and I wish them all well, and I don't have any, axe to grind with UA, but I really do wonder if this is a response to hardware sales not being what they once were.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I hadn't thought about that, but I suppose the thing is if you want the hardware, quite often you're going to be using the hardware for that very specific thing. Either access to those plugins, but also the zero latency in the A to D and the D to A, which is something that you might not have in other ways. So I guess that makes sense. But
right,
I take
as far as interface hardware goes, that makes sense. I have a UAD2 Octo card in a outboard magma chassis connected to this computer that I use, and it's fine when I use it, and it's great stuff, and I really like their products. So I wish them well with this. I don't have a problem with it. I just wish there was more of what we have bought available to the native market, because it appears that there's strikingly little.
Well, one thing that they will say is if you've already bought the perpetual licenses for the UAD platform and they are available on the UADX, you get it anyway. It's not like you got to pay again. It's just this is to bring.
And I pulled I pulled the 5 that work or that are offered that I have, and loaded them up and ran them for a minute just to see what it was like. And they work just fine.
Interesting. I think the thing that interested me is the inclusion of new instruments, because now they've got the Waterfall B3, they've got the Opal, it's a wavetable synth, which I'm going to be checking out actually, and also there's the piano sample thing, which is these are really which was previously available only on Lunar, and the Mini Moog as well. I believe that's a license endorsed, whatever. Yeah, so I don't know if you use UAD. I mean, it's probably less about real time processing in terms of throughput of a live input for you, as more of a mix or a post thing. So maybe you don't need UAD in your life for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd not got burnt, but I'd gone down the Power Core platform. And so when Power Core kind of came to an end, I thought I'm done with that kind of idea.
Right.
I want portability as well. And, a lot of the things I do now, if I'm working in Cubase, I will try and constrain the whole project to the built-in Cubase plugins, because it's amazing what's in there. So for the most, if it's a project that I'm going to be working on with other people, so I've gone like really really far away from other things that I maybe have done in the past. So, for instance, sorry, that's a digression, but the being tied to the hardware is is an enormous thing. So if your UAD is only in, say, like an Apollo in a rack unit, and then you take it elsewhere, you take your system out, your laptop, you can't work with your plugins. So it being native would be amazing for long-term users, to be able to do that. I think it does as well for, and a thing that's been just annoying me for years, how some people have been duped by the idea that the DSP in the hardware does some sort of analog magic in the DSP because it's UAD and because it's not in your computer. I mean, it was, some of the plugins do work with the kind of preamp controls, don't they?
Yeah, the Unison, you won't get that either. But
yeah, but more so just about somehow the DSP is kind of going through some nice crispy vintage stage. So it's nice crispy. Because whereas
to be fair, in defence, I would say it's more that the fact that you can say you've got an 8-channel input, you're recording a drum kit, you've got enough DSP to basically mirror a really luscious, tasty vintage thing, and you record that into the system in real time. Nice,
fantastic, yeah, fantastic. I mean, brilliant platform, amazing products. Brilliant. But yeah, this makes sense. But I also wondered whether the chip shortage might have something to do with this. And like what Rich is saying, it's like, yeah, it's kind of curious, but then you kind of go, well, they've got all this kind of software that they can sell. But if the hardware is going to become harder and more expensive.
Maybe it's a shortage issue rather than it's not that people don't want to buy it, it's that maybe they can't buy it. I mean, this is pure speculation.
No,
and also, yeah, there is the news, obviously, that these have been using Shark DSP chips for generations of units. And I don't know, I mean, maybe Shark is a kind of a cul-de-sac DSP platform now because lots of things are moving over to ARM just purely because power consumption, so maybe that it's just harder to get that stuff, or harder to kind of to see a bigger capacity, higher capacity Shark which uses less. I don't know. I mean, we don't know about this stuff, but all of these things, I mean, it seems to make perfect sense to me. I mean, I suggest maybe what they should do is add a subscription to all of their things. So you could also subscribe to if you own the platform, you can subscribe to the plugins that they have, or rent the plugins that they have on their platform as well. So if you want the hardware, you get those benefits, but you can still access all those additional plugins. You just don't need to buy them. You can rent them for a month or two for a project and then print or rent them month to month. And if they could do that, then that would make a lot of sense to me. I mean, I think, moving to subscription or owning, whatever, or rent to own. So you rent it for 8 months, and then at the end of the time you can buy it for the price of it would cost minus the 8 months that you've already spent. These are things that computers are good at figuring out, and it wouldn't be. I don't see how that would be an issue. I don't know, Rich. You look like you might have been ruminating that. It's possible, because you don't always need to buy. Yeah.
Understood.
That thing.
Now that you don't have to, and then you'll assess whether I'm going to be working on this album for 2 months or 6 months, and how much I think I'm going to need this particular plugin, and you go from there. Yeah,
it's interesting. I think there's a lot of movement, especially in DSP program. There's a company, GPU Audio. I think we're going to go and see them at Namm. They're obviously offloading audio processing onto GPUs, which is, I say much more readily available. Most of us have got one or have had one. Maybe we can't get them so easily at the moment because of shortages. But again, those are the sort of DSPs that are super, super, super fast, And also you've got the M1 stuff as well, which is, whether or not it's super, super fast or not, it's integrated, so it makes a certain amount of sense. Anyway, it's available. There's an interesting article actually on Pro Tools Expert, which said they ran all the native. They did a session with 80 tracks and did 250 instances of the UADX plugins, and then figured out how much DSP they would need to run that if they were doing that on a UAD platform. And it said, I think they did 242 UADX. They would need 4 octa-cores, and that would cost around 4K in DSP hardware alone just to run the same number of plugins in a non-native format, which in a mix situation, you don't really need that zero latency, and you don't need the A to Ds. You might need the D to As, but not the A to Ds. So, just a choice. Maybe not such a bad thing. Anyway, what's next? Well, we have another instrument out, which is again. Let's try this one. This is Spitfire and BT's Polaris from the brain of BT once again. So this is strings recorded at Air Lyndhurst, the regular articulations. Process, you've got the natural versions, then you've got process versions on stuff like VHS, but also emulator 2s, Fairlights, Mirage, and you've also got additional synths, which are JPA, OBX, CS80 added to the mix as well. So you've got this kind of enormous filmic pad machine, plus the effects and the EDNA interface that comes with the Spitfire system. Very filmic, very kind of, we're used to this sort of stuff. There is a sort of element of a lot of this stuff starts to sound the same when you add a little fifth in it and you add a massive space around it, and it's quite hard to differentiate. But we know that BT has a very unique take on it, and he's very passionate about these things. We've had him on the show a few times, and he's hard to stop when he gets going, which is great to see that energy, and has obviously gone into this as well. Once again, Spitfire with yet another library. I think this is 44 gigs, 129 articulations, 421 presets. It's interesting, isn't it? Because media composers are always looking for that new thing and don't all have the ability to make that stuff. So I guess this is the target, I would assume, for this kind of thing.
One would hope, based on what it seems to do. I listen, as you already nailed it with cinematic and pad, sort of the ultimate pad machine and atmospheres and textures, and I love it. Feeds into my particular interest in combining acoustic sources with electronic sources. So there's a lot about it that appeals to me as for what it is. It doesn't seem to be, based on all of the demos I listened to, very much of a lead or melody instrument. It really is just about the atmosphere and the texture. And as such, it's arguably perhaps a tad expensive. But other than that, I'd love to have one of these around. I think it's most of $300.
I think what we're talking is, let me see. I think it basically, that's not the link I was hoping for, but hey, it doesn't matter. That's the, what is it? It's 268 from 329, where it will be 329.
I see.
Ultimately.
So it is $300.
Yeah.
But it's great sounding, and I listened to all of the demos that I could find, and it's really lovely, and I get it, and I kind of wouldn't mind having it. Who knows? Maybe I will buy it at some point.
It's interesting. Whenever, exactly. Whenever you see Christian Henson did the kind of walkthrough of this, and he was really enthusiastic. I think, he is a great guy.
Nice man.
Yeah, he is. Gaz, is this? It's so far away from modular and where your brain is at the moment. But maybe you have projects that could work with this. It does look, geared for that sort of mod wheel.
Yeah, is it MPU
that changes everything? I can't tell you that. I know it has. It would, wouldn't it? It does have. It does have like two layers, so you can have a left and a right, or two patches, and then kind of merge between them or balance between them. So you get quite a lot of that going on.
So when the Osmos comes out, this would be an amazing instrument for the Osmos to play.
One day,
one day. So really great, though. What a great idea this is. So how big is the orchestral library again? Because it's not
44 gigs in size, but it's 129 articulations and 421 presets, which would be built around the EDNA interface. Yeah, it does look good again.
Yeah, and it'll probably be very successful, and it'll probably be quite. I think you'll probably hear it around in a lot of TV and these big TV productions. What can you say? Spitfire, amazing collaboration. Those two working together. Holy cow! Watch out. And I think that's obviously going to be probably a new standard. I think instrument. I think will be extremely successful for them. Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah. It's expensive, but it's premium, isn't it? It's
I suppose
premium.
There is premium. Of course, it's premium. That's fair enough. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. Obviously, it's. I think I don't know when it runs out, the deal. But sorry, Rich, you were...
Just one more thing: the patches themselves, as one uses to sell gear, are incredibly enormous and complex, and have tons and tons and tons of stuff going on. And I suspect if I were to get this thing, I'd be using 1 or 2, maybe 3 layers at the most, not these gigantic, epic, end of the world, and one after another, after another, after another. Like, I think that probably what underlies these things is wonderful. I really do. Yeah. I expect it's fantastic when you start peeling things away.
I want to hear those. I want to hear those Lindist Air strings recorded, resampled into a Mirage, because I love the sound of the Mirage. And I'm not being facetious. I really, but yeah, I get you, Rich. It's like end of the world 7.
Your entire display turns into a 2-digit hexadecimal display.
In fact, I did see if you. Yeah, God, do you remember the Massos operating system, which came in a folder about a floppy disk,
2 large numbers and letters.
Yeah, 7F. Let's go.
Right, there you go. Yeah. My favorite.
Oh man,
it's my favorite 7F.
FF is always FF is always the loud.
Good too.
The world of Hex, yeah, wow. We're heading for a title there somewhere. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. Right. We should probably have a word from our friends over at iZotope. We'll get to talk a little bit more about what they're up to as well, because obviously, there's some news. No, that's not what I was trying to do. Hold on, let me just find this. I'm a bit out of sorts. Where am I looking for? I'm looking for the right button, and then there we go. Thank you very much to our friends at iZotope.
iZotope Producers Club is a one-of-a-kind membership for producers ready to take their tracks to the next level. Once you join, you'll gain access to powerhouse iZotope plugins and a curated selection of tools from our partners, such as Melodyne from Celemony. Plus, as long as you're a member, you'll get every future update to the iZotope plugins in your membership for no extra cost. We'll also regularly serve you new curated content like exclusive inspiration-sparking sample packs and preset packs, and industry-leading training ranging from our own tutorials to vocal production lessons from the world-renowned Berklee Online, taught by Grammy-winning producer and engineer Prince Charles Alexander. With new content being added every month full of valuable production techniques, tips and tricks, and solutions to common production problems, becoming a member is an investment in your career that grows as you and your career do. For more information on iZotope Producers Club, head to iZotope.com.
And of course, we thank them for their support of the show. In fact, if you're looking to do some more, if you go to iZotope.com/Sonictalk, then you can use it anyway. Save 10% on any of the iZotope products that are not subscriptions or hardware. Use the code SONIC10 at checkout. Save yourself an extra 10%. And that very often applies to new products and deals that are already happening. So very handy little thing there. So thanks once again. We thank them very much for their support. In fact, I suppose we could go straight on to that topic, couldn't we? Because it seems to tie in nicely. Of course, just announced. I mean, this was originally announced. There's the Soundwide umbrella company or group that was designed to be part of I'm not quite sure what it's for, but it's to run and bring sound, Native Instruments, Plugin Alliance, and Brainworks, and they're to sort of celebrate this. They are giving away Ethereal Earth, which is one of the NI, and 6 plugins from Plugin Alliance and Brainworks, all free, plus 10% off select products for a limited time. And you might be able to get an extra 10% if you apply the code as on top of that. This is interesting. You brought this one up, Rich. This is kind of yet another kind of thing where we're used to the idea of companies, mergers and acquisitions, we have it all the time. And iZotope, as we know, are a big company. Native Instruments are a big company. And now there's this sort of umbrella group that brings it all together. So you get some sort of, to a degree, the scale of economics and other good stuff, I assume, makes it more viable. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? What does the consumer get out of it, I suppose, is the question that maybe came up from your initial thing. And that's a good question. I don't know. Do you have an answer to that question, or maybe a theory or a thesis on the subject? I don't know.
I have a question. Where does it end? Because the answer to what are they trying to do is rule the world. And they appear to be succeeding, one software company at a time. So sort of one wonders where it ends. Now, that said, I'm happy for everybody's good fortune in this deal, because I imagine everybody's going to make money. And that's a beautiful thing, because these people have created and brought us some really, really valuable tools and wonderful things that blew out of the water things that were impossible to do, each of them in their own way. So I love the Plugin Alliance stuff. I love iZotope stuff. I've been using Native Instruments, Lord knows, since there was a Native Instruments, and I love a lot of their stuff. So I guess this is a good thing, maybe, or is this just something that enables them to market more broadly selected bundles? I'm not quite sure. But I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but I wonder where it ends. In other words, how many more companies are they going to buy? Like where?
Well, yeah, you get to the situation. It's megacorp, isn't it? When you get megacorp, you end up with this dystopian kind of vision of the future that we see in Marvel, DC, and kind of Blade Runner and stuff like that. Do we want that? Maybe not. I mean, one of the things that I'm curious about is, presumably all these little companies, when they were smaller, all had their own individual sort of brain farms where they came up with all this good stuff that made them acquirable and all of those things. But then when they're all in the same company, are you in danger of getting a kind of homogeny and a kind of, no, that's not, that idea doesn't fit in with the company? I don't know.
Well,
that's the thing
if the auto industry is any indication, no. Because you have something like General Motors, which has, brand after brand after brand after brand, and whatever Daimler Chrysler turned into now, and whoever owns it, there's brand after brand after brand after, and if you're if you're in the potato chip business, Lay's of Texas has 50 different brands, so I don't think it's really a problem for any of them. And I think they know that, which is why they're all signing up for it. I'm wondering.
That makes me feel better, Rich. I'm glad you said that.
I am wondering about things getting kicked to the curb, and I have one particular sort of issue right now with my exponential audio reverbs and iZotope's rather lukewarm commitment to the idea that I'm going to be able to open the sessions that I based on them, anytime soon on a recent operating system. So I have some concerns technically about what kinds of things are going to get kicked to the curb as everybody's corporate board starts consolidating. But for the moment, I'm wishing everybody well, and I'm hoping for the best.
Excellent. I know, Gaz. It always feels that it goes against the spirit of the kind of creative maverick, doesn't it? When you see all of your favourite tools being kind of subsumed into one megacorp, it just sort of feels wrong. I mean, I'm not saying it is, but it feels like it's. Are we going to get any more punk rock? Are we going to get any more, like acid music? I mean, because of this, I am probably overreacting a little bit. What do you think?
There's probably more kind of access to DIY and that kind of thing now than ever before. So I feel that if the startup maverick does still kind of have a fighting chance. The leveling of the internet still is still a thing, isn't it?
But then they've got to compete against the megacorp who've got everything already,
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's really difficult, isn't it? Because, as Rich said, these are great companies all together in what, if it reinforces those companies and means they stick around, then that is cool because they have created incredible things. Ozone has been my living for 12, 15 years, maybe. It's been a major part of my living. It really has. So,
I suppose the danger. I suppose that, yeah, I agree with you. I suppose the danger is, what worries me a little bit is, okay, say Soundwide umbrella company is all cool. Mark Catini, who's the CEO, is probably a cool guy and understands the music industry. But what happens at some point in the future when Elon Musk or somebody else turns up and goes, I want to buy a controlling interest in this, and because they're operating in that high finance world, they have to and the board says, yeah, we want the money. And they have to sell to him, and then suddenly, billionaire A sort of goes, you know what? I want to throw a spanner in the works and do something that, because I'm a slightly mad, controlling nutcase, but I have the control, so I can do what I want. It's the level of control that can happen as it gets more and more and more kind of concentrated. It can be affected by one rogue element or one takeover, one hostile thing. That's what worries me.
That dystopian corporate wars future, isn't it, that we've all kind of dreaded? It is a step towards that.
If I may just interrupt here.
Please,
I don't
bring
think
us
that
back.
they're going to consolidate all of their operations under one roof in some place in the world. In other words, I think these companies continue to essentially operate as they have, with a different financial and corporate structure overseeing everything. So I doubt very seriously that iZotope is picking up from Cambridge, Massachusetts, and moving to Dirk's hometown over by Plug-in Alliance so that they can achieve this. I think mostly people aren't going to lose their jobs, and things are going to go along as they had, and it's going to be good for business and everybody benefits. And I'm serious. I really do hope it goes that way, but I just do wonder where it ends. And if
you end up with,
then what?
one company. Anyway, that's probably, thus endeth the acquisitions and merger section of the show, which I think is, you may find that it's a little dry, but these things are going to affect everybody, so we have to think about them, and maybe I think it's good to discuss. Right, what else can we find? Let's go sort of slightly off piste and wacky. Then that seems like a good place to go now. This is the new Wingie2 Resonator, which is from the rather unusual mind of a chap called Menki. This thing was actually selling for $135, quite hard to find now. But this is actually Chris Calcutt who may well be in the chat. He's doing this on a bunch of Novation kit, and it's essentially a portable stereo resonator with an input, 2 mics, also MIDI input, and it's just some of the stuff that is coming out of it is absolutely beautiful. And I just thought, this is the antithesis of corporate. This is kind of guy in garage. I think you were able to buy them on Perfect Circuit and whatnot. And let me just take it on a bit, because there's it gets. Yeah, it's a great video just generally from Chris Calcutt, so well worth checking out. This looked lovely, and it's just because it falls into that kind of pocket operator sort of Casio VL tone, but $135. I mean, I don't know much about resonators. Are they essentially kind of self-oscillating high Q filters? Is that what am I right with that, or am I way off? Because I don't know enough about them.
I don't know electronically whether that's accurate, but it sounds right to me.
I'll take it.
How they act when we're using them. People love the thing in the Polymog that did this, and I get what he's doing. First of all, I love this guy and his passion. I went to his website, looked at his other designs, and this guy is just really deeply into it, and I dig that. And this is a cool thing that he's made here. I don't know how many people need it, but I think it would be fun to have it. No, as you point out, it's 130. I actually didn't see a price, so $135. Okay, it's an actual piece of hardware, so it's got to cost something.
Yeah, that's really cheap.
It's got to cost something. Yeah, and it's got barely any graphics on it. It's pretty funny. There's like all these unlabeled buttons, and like, okay, I guess you just get to know after a while what you're doing on the thing. But he made some nice sounds with it, and I understand where he's coming from, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and I wish him every good
Absolutely.
fortune.
Absolutely. Gaz, I suspect this is the sort of thing, because there's that, what's the Soundgarden thing, which is resonators and really strange springs that kind of, I can't remember the make of it. It's like that. But this looks like the sort of thing that you might. Yeah, the Leaf Audio sound. It sort of falls into that category to a degree.
Yeah. This. Oh my goodness. I want it. I want it now, and I'm going to cry and scream until it's in my hands now.
Maybe he'll get to make some more. Yeah, it looks like a very homemade sort of thing, doesn't it?
So, if you take a load of resonances and you tune each of those resonances into a note until you've got chromatic, until you've got a load of, that's what you're doing. You're playing tuned resonances off that little keyboard. So whatever sound you put in, it's like the filter is being resonated to those.
And then you ping it, like you hit it with a signal, and it starts the resonator off, I guess, right?
I think that's that each. Oh, okay, sorry, yeah, but the fact is, you've got those two microphones on there, so you can just straight away be playing with whatever sound it is around, slapping it and singing or whatever into it. Beautiful. I think it's an amazing, lovely instrument. There's a fantastic Scanner video where he's playing, where he plays with it, and that's really good. Scanner is a perfect match for this, I think. But also, you could imagine if you combined this with one of those microcosm pedals.
What, you mean a massive reverb? How right you are, Gaz. I think I'm with you there.
No, but I mean, you could just spend the rest of your life in that space then, just completely happy, just sort of zen space, maybe some soup and an occasional visit to the toilet, but done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm really happy.
It's funny, I think there's a decay control, because there must be a feedback loop or a resonance that lets it go so the note would last for a long time. So it's presumably got some kind of decay.
You've got decay on one of those sliders is a decay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then but you can do it. You can control it with MIDI as well, I think.
Yes, you can.
Really simple. Yeah. But lovely.
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad it exists in the world, although you can't get it at the moment. It's sold out. But thanks to Chris Midiera for bringing it to my attention, even though we can't buy. I mean, $135 is. I mean, it's ridiculously cheap. Maybe the guy's fingers got worn to the nub because he can't possibly be making any money on that. I mean, that's retail price. That's crazy.
Digital Village have got it listed for 148 quid, and they're saying delivery time, they go in, when do they say? May, I think.
Oh, okay. Well,
May the 5th. May the 5th. Yeah.
Should be the 4th, really, just cause, but hey, what the hell? Yeah. No, great. Okay, brilliant. Well, I hope everybody enjoys that. Yeah, that's the Resonator. This was the piece that we have. Let's see. There's a couple of videos. Yeah, the Wingie2, that's the video from Robin Rimbaud, aka Scanner. And very nice. A nice bit of...
One quick thing. The instructions are all printed on the back of it. I just saw a picture of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's
really
good.
Nice. Yeah, good move.
Excellent. Well, maybe that's the sort of thing that we like to. I suppose that's the sort of thing that we worry that in a large corporate entity, those things might not bubble to the surface so often. But I could be wrong. It depends on how it's managed. So I won't go there again.
The instructions are in Chinese. The instructions are in Chinese and English as well, equally, and I just think that's really nice as well.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, you mean it's like one of those weird things where I'm trying to think. There are films where people show your English is very good. How did you learn it? I learned it listening to Radio 4 or the World Service. I listened to it reading the back of a Wingie2. So my vocabulary is somewhat limited, but I can speak in terms of resonators and synthesizers. Yeah.
And I know how to press multiple notes together.
And I know
really
to say
good with I/O.
Yeah, excellent. Right, okay. Let me get on to where we're going next. It's hard to know where to go. There's so... I know. I'm going to go a little bit nostalgic, just purely because we've been digging up these archives, and I've been playing with them a little bit, and I just wanted to... I've got a video, and I think this is one of the ones that we don't get to see many videos like this anymore, and this was from Namm 2003, which I think was maybe our first or second video Namm. So,
All right, what we have here is a creative product piece, the world's first. Music and PC keyboard all in one. So anyone can work and with one touch of a button, play music right on their PC. You have 37 touch-sensitive MIDI keys.
is that Bryan Adams? I think it is.
To enjoy music in a very fun and easy.
And I was looking at this and I was thinking, you know what? I actually wouldn't mind one of those now. I think that could be kind of handy. Whatever happened to it? I mean, it just didn't really, you know. But yeah, this is the we've posted a whole bunch of archives. This was the stuff, and there's some great stuff here. There's some we did a thing with Bob Moog and Dave Smith and Rupert Neve. Sadly, both of those are not with us anymore. The Roland Phantom S with Scott Tibbs, Open Labs Workstation, Roland Varios. I mean, it's just a microcosm, and there's Andreas Schneider's there, the first Super Breathe one. I'm sure we were going back. I think we started going in 2000, so we started doing videos. So I know, I thought this was kind of fun. Not all that different, apart from the aspect ratio and the resolution. Maybe has changed somewhat, but
yeah, I don't care about any of that. But listening to Bob Moog sell me a Moog Voyager, priceless. Listening to Rupert Neve selling me some sort of guitar transduction system, priceless. Dave Smith talking to me about a Devolver, I'm down. I got lost in these videos. I was having such a blast. You know, that's fun to me, is hearing these guys talk to you, you know, from beyond, because, you know, in Bob's...
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I did feel a little bit, I was thinking, am I being a bit kind of clickbaity by doing this? I didn't really want it to be that. It was more just, this is a record. So we went back and I was retrieving stuff off, you know, network drives. Some drives didn't spin up, so we didn't have the high resolution stuff, because a lot of this stuff we ended up posting in real audio. Those ones, which were about 120, and honestly, they were so tiny, and the workflow back then was just insanely complex and difficult and very time consuming, because we recorded to tape back there. But you know, great fun. I know, Gaz, it's I mean, you've been to Namm, you know, everybody here has been to Namm, but I mean, just seeing some of that early stuff, it's surprisingly similar to the way it still is, or will be in June. I mean, we're going in June as well.
Seeing the big Motu stand and seeing the big stand, you know, just kind of going, oh yeah, I found them really interesting. It's lovely, actually. It's almost like they're like museum pieces now, though, aren't they? I mean, it's it's nearly 20 years old footage, 19 years old footage.
Yeah.
And it's just I think it's lovely, pre-YouTube era. I mean, it does kind of show that YouTube. What's 2006? Is it YouTube?
We were doing video before that. I mean, you know,
videos then you know, I doff my cap. You know, incredible! What amazing work you've done over the years to keep us entertained and, you know, bringing us those. You know,
well, thank you.
I'm always glued to the, you know, getting those updates when you're way back when. So exciting. So I think, you know, it's definite amazing service you've done for us all. So thank you. You know, I think these.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. I wasn't fishing. I'll be fair. I mean,
but it should be said. Fair play. Sticking at it all this time. Keep it positive.
Still doing it. Incidentally, we've got a new YouTube channel. I've posted the link. It's YouTube Sonicstate Extra, which is where I'm posting, because I'm pretty sure most of our subscribers do not want to get, you know, 30 notifications from a trade show from 15 years ago coming in their inbox. So, but there will be more stuff. I mean, I've gone back, because I think we started posting a lot of our show videos maybe 2007, 2008, and there's a whole bunch of stuff besides that's not there. In fact, there's some Peter Gabriel stuff on the channel. There's some Adrian Utley stuff, which I've got yet to post. It's just a question of kind of working through it, but there's a whole bunch of stuff there. It's great fun, and there's a lot of things. Oh yeah, we had Dope Fur, we had Waldorf. I'm just trying to look at some of the other things we had. Like we say, Herr Schneider's. Oh, let's get my mouse up. Where's my mouse gone? There it is. And Earwave, Dave Smith, Dope Fur. Yeah, there was a whole ton of stuff. Anyway, so yeah, just thought that was a fun piece. Okay, right. Back onto more or other subjects, perhaps. What are we looking at here? It's hard. I mean, some of these are a little bit sort of heavy duty, but one of the ones that did come up was this. Did you see the Ed Sheeran plagiarism case, which I think is actually quite interesting? And I know as soon as you mention the word Ed Sheeran, some people kind of think of him as sort of musical pollution, which I don't agree with. I think he's a very talented guy. He's just everywhere, which makes him feel like he's a big target. But they recently won the case. Him and his songwriting partner won the case where they were Sammy Switch, OY 2015, up against his Ed Sheeran's massive smash, which was The Shape of You. And I listened to it, and it's like, it's pretty tenuous to my ear. I'm not a musicologist, but I suggest if I play a tiny bit of the video, because they're gonna slaughter me for the copyright. But if I play a tiny bit of this,
I'm happy we can move on and get back to writing songs. And it just makes all of it makes me sad. All of it.
Right, that's all I'm going to do, because it's actually a really interesting thing. And one of the things that comes across is him and his songwriting partner. They basically do this every day, and people kind of are saying, "We don't believe you wrote that song in half an hour, an hour and a half." He said, "Yeah, we do. We regularly write 4 or 5 songs a day. That's what I do all day." And there's just some really interesting points made in there, whether or not you desire Ed Sheeran's company or not. But the thing for me that was very interesting is they say, "Look, there are so many notes," and there was something that they said with George Harrison, about George Harrison, which said, "When I go to the keyboard to play notes, I'm worried that I might play a note, somebody else's note," and I think that's more and more becoming a thing. It's actually quite hard to be original. I mean, goodness knows the classical composers found it difficult enough. They were always borrowing off each other. So it's quite an interesting thing. I know, Rich, I suspect you have an opinion on this, because you play in a band that are the originator of many copycats or borrows or tributes, however you may want to call it. And it's it's a minefield. I mean, I can't imagine, yeah.
Nile
it's
Rodgers
horrible.
could go on about this subject for a long time, but you'll find that he's incredibly charitable about the whole thing once precedent was established and it became clear that there would have to be some form of compensation. And I mean, we've appeared on stage with the Sugar Hill Gang doing that. So, it's all good. It's all good now, but at least as far as I understand it. Now, as far as this case goes, I didn't think that they had much of a case for plagiarism based on one motif that isn't exactly the same, but is very similar. And it all derives from various other things, too. So does Harry Belafonte show up now with, Deo and say, well, you guys are really all just copying me? I mean, so where does that end? It's just a motif that was probably improvised in the studio and just happens to be remotely similar to a motif from some other piece of music. And it's not like it's a stolen melody. I thought it was a silly case, and I felt that the right decision was reached. And I don't have any particular feeling about Ed Sheeran, except that when I see him, I always think he sounds really talented. And that one time we were all cleared out of a backstage area so that he could go to the bathroom or something. I don't know. But other than that, I have no feeling about Ed Sheeran, and I have no animosity towards Ed Sheeran. So I think that in this case, he got the right call, because I don't think he stole anything from anybody.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound like it to me. I know, Gaz. I mean, it's difficult, though, isn't it? The notion of how can you be original? I mean, there are a lot of factors to be original, but it's kind of difficult, particularly perhaps when you're an artist like Ed Sheeran, who by his nature is kind of pop and quite middle of the road in many ways, but still doesn't take away from his talent.
Well, this is quite an interesting video, to be fair, and it is worth watching, especially for the conclusion where the journalist asks them what would you do if you heard some of your music being used? Would you go after them? And they're like, no, they hear it all the time. The amount of people who've been kind of ripping Ed Sheeran off is probably ludicrous. The amount of, they say they hear their thing in it. But Johnny McDade, the co-writer, he says, to be honest, it makes me feel like I'm connected to something when he hears it coming back, which I thought was quite sweet. Elvis Costello recently sort of, was it the Olivia Rodriguez, is that the right person, who did a track that's got down, 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 like Pump It Up riff by Elvis Costello. And he was asked about it. He was like, I kind of got that song from Subterranean Homesick Blues of Dylan. You know, that was the inspiration for it. On it goes, on it goes, on it goes. So this is sickening when this stuff comes up, and I kind of sympathise with them, because they are having to go through all of this stuff, and ultimately, it's like,
I suppose, yeah.
Well, they film every session, every writing session.
Yeah, that's the thing he said. Since I think there was another song that happened, and he settled because he was on tour and didn't have time for it. And now he said afterwards, I don't want to play it anymore. I can now, but for ages I couldn't play it because it made me feel bad. And he said, I wish I hadn't settled, because really, you know, that wasn't the case. So yeah, it was interesting. I just think it's an interesting take on it, and they are quite emotive about it. And they said the rush that you get from coming up with essentially a banger, and you feel the feeling that you feel, the euphoria. He said that is just the best feeling ever, and it's sort of tainted a little bit because you then think, hold on a minute, is this going to cause any trouble? Have we touched on something else? I mean, you know, I just thought that's kind of sad as well. And I mean, he knows his stuff. I've seen him sort of when they've played songs and he's got mentioned the band. He goes, "Oh yeah, I know all the lyrics." To, you know, he's a craftsman in his job, and that's fine. But yeah, whether you like it or not, he's still a you know, he's an artisan, I suppose they are. Yeah, let's not dwell on it too much because it is just a bit depressing, isn't it? But I think the litigious one thing. Actually, before I go, one thing he did say is that, you know, you can find a musicologist who could make a case, and then you could go to an organisation and they'd say, right, we're withholding the royalties for this until it's proved otherwise. And you just think, you know, that's risk, because it's like those copyright banks, people who just buy a whole load of stuff up, or patents, that just so that they can sue people who might infringe them, even though nobody might know that that's one of the aspects of it. It sort of feels like you could head into that territory quite easily, and that's not a good place for anything to drive any kind of creative industry. I almost forgot. For goodness sake, what on earth was I thinking? This is the teaser from Oberheim. And I really do want some of these beer mats, not those beer mats. Oh, is that my phone? Yes, this is a kind of
welcome back.
Marcus Ryle, Dave Smith, Tom Oberheim. Yeah, nice. This is the feel-good thing. It seems like everybody. I mean, I know Dave's been working with Tom Oberheim with the kind of the update to the OBE, and you know, everybody seems to be pushing some really good energy, mostly driven by Marcus Ryle, who used to work with Tom many years back, and they're pushing all this energy to try and get some of the good vibes. And I guess this started when Behringer sort of gave back the trademarks, which I think Marcus Ryle brokered the deal. And you know, in some ways, I think that all of that kind of outrage and, you know, the bad feeling that started that, and they finally got it back, kind of helped make the brand of Tom more front and center. So in some ways it may have helped, you know, particularly if they're now launching their own stuff. I mean, I assume that's what this is about. We're going to see some Oberheim stuff. I guess the question is, what do you want it to be? What would you like?
Oh, you mean in terms of the next instrument?
Yeah.
I have to recuse myself from this conversation.
Okay.
Too much.
But I know what you're saying.
That said, it's really great to see Tom Oberheim get some love at this point in his career and in his life.
Yeah.
It's really just such a heartwarming thing for me to see, because first of all, the instruments were spectacular and he is so richly deserving of the praise and of the attention. Secondly, I've met him and he's a really, really nice man. And third, it just doesn't usually happen during somebody's lifetime that this gets to happen again, like for him, and he still wants it to. And that's all so cool. And I'm just spiritually so pleased by this in a sea of things I'm less pleased about.
Yeah, I suppose that's it. It's a rare. It's a rarity. It's like a heartwarming. It's like an "and finally" story, I suppose, but it's probably right. It's so far into our kind of niche. I mean, I assume we're going to see some Oberheim stuff. You know, I mean, I would personally like to see the 4-voice. I think that's or the 2-voice. That's a lovely thing. I know they did some stuff, but yeah, it's great. It's a great story, isn't it? Yeah, I know. I suppose, but maybe. That's true. The two.
How bad do I want one of those? My God, the first thing I ever saw was the 2-voice. After I saw the individual module with Andrew had hooked up to his micro mode, but the first instrument with a keyboard I saw by Oberheim was the 2-voice, and I was enthralled by the idea.
Yeah.
I just loved it. It was fantastic. And then the 4-voice came.
It sounds so good. Chevy Trailer, who might be in the chat room, or Technomadic, I think is what he's called now. He came down and said, "Try this," and it was. I was like, "Wow, I need to buy a 2-voice Pro," but I just thought I can't spend $2,000 on an instrument at that particular time. I know, Gaz. Yeah, it was good. What a great story, though. Eh?
Yeah, amazing. I'm kind of curious if there's going to be any Focusrite Novation involvement in whatever's coming, because obviously sequential now.
I mean, ultimately, I suppose part of the Focusrite LLC, isn't it? It is, yeah.
Yeah, which we've speculated about what good things could happen and come from that. So so maybe it will mean that they will be a little bit more affordable, perhaps, than otherwise. Is something and that's what I would like to see from this is, not like a budget instrument. I wouldn't expect that, but just something that is sort of affordable. And I don't know what affordable is anymore in terms of a polysynth, given what's happened over the last few years.
Yeah, difficult to know, isn't it? But I mean, with original Oberheim electronics in it, I mean, it's going to be, it would be expensive, I would imagine, or what we consider to be expensive, or it depends on how you view it. You know, it's like,
well, if Tom's probably got amazing modern ideas, though, hasn't he, as well? That kind of rather than a retread of the past.
Maybe so, yeah. Maybe so.
Yeah. Perhaps some insight into the kinds of other products than the premium top line products that we, all dream of, to expect would be best gauged in a conversation with Dave Smith about his experiences in that marketplace with I believe there was something called Mofo, MOPHO, if I'm not mistaken. And there were some other smaller Dave Smith products that sold to a less expensive market, and he has used different pricing tiers in his sales experience. So how that plays out for these guys on a business level, effort versus, reward, will be best determined, I would think, by somebody who's done it like him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I would imagine it's going to be whatever it's going to be. It's got to be very Oberheim, because otherwise, what's the point? But yeah, we'll look forward to it.
Of course,
we'll look forward to it.
Do you think he is then hands-on in the designs of new things, or is it just like the using of his name?
I imagine it's going to be more of a consultant level, just purely because he's 80-something. He's probably he's pretty fit and healthy. I mean, I'm not saying he's kind of falling apart or anything, but I imagine he's he doesn't need to be working till 3 a.m. slaving over CAD drawings or anything like that. I wouldn't imagine. Yeah, but
cool.
Very good. Anyway, nice. I'm glad we got that in there. And thank you guys for joining us. It's been a lovely show, as ever. We'll be back. I'm hoping that I managed to snaffle Heimbach for a forthcoming Sonic Talk. So I'm hoping we'll get to speak to him. I'm just finalising some details. And we're working on some other bits and pieces. Like I say, if you didn't see, check out the Goldfrapp video, the rig rundown. Very popular, actually, because you started that with the Tangerine Dream one, but the Goldfrapp one seems to have gone as well. So, yeah, good.
Very cool.
Thank you for starting all that off. Okay, well, thank you to all our chatties in the chat room and all the various chat rooms. We'll be back with our new super duper stuff soon. And thanks to Wagyu for keeping the cross-posting going to the limited degree that it is working at the moment. Rich, lovely to see you. I don't know if are you going to be in London on the 23rd of April? I'm going to be at the British Library doing the sound for the Moog Ensemble. So,
how I wish I were going to be in London on that day, but no. I don't know exactly when it is, but the next time I'm going to be in London is sometime in the second half of May.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be around a lot, like a mosquito. I'll be around, buzzing around.
We will probably get together then. That'll be fantastic. Thank you very much. But lovely to see you, Rich, and we'll see you again soon. And of course, Mr. Gaz Williams, you'll be going live tonight. Is it 8 o'clock the usual time? Is that the plan? Yeah.
Have you ever seen on it? Yes, 8 p.m. tonight. 8 p.m. tonight. Have you ever seen a transient boost? So essentially a transient shaper, but a boost on a distortion pedal.
No,
before?
that's interesting.
Yeah, that's
for drums. Presumably that would make sense. Yeah.
And then you get more pick, more thwack from the pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what a cool little box this is. So join me 8 p.m. and we'll explore it together. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Nick. Thanks very much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it for Sonic Talk episode 710. We'll be back next time for 711, which we could, maybe if we could does 711 still exist? Have we got time to get a sponsorship in place? Excellent, I'll work on it. Of course they do, right. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. That is it for now. We'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye now.